Hey y'all, and welcome back to Lantern Creek Farm. Alright guys, today we're going to do our first garden tour of 2024. I'm going to show you all what's come up because everything I believe that we've planted is starting to come up. So we'll start with the potatoes. Um, me and Andy had went on a trip on Good Friday, and so my father-in-law and mother-in-law decided that they would go ahead and get the potatoes in the ground on Good Friday. And they planted 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4. As you can see right here, the third row is just not really doing that good. We've actually even thought about probably ripping it up to about here. From there up is doing decent. From there back, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hills coming up. That's just it. Only 7. And so, you know, we could put something there instead of having just some spaced potatoes. But overall, they're doing decent. Looks like we've got a little bit of bug damage going on. And our beans had come up. And I'll show you all them in a second, but we're having bug damage on them as well. So we're going to have to get in here and get some diatomaceous earth on them to kind of help them along. Now, my father-in-law also planted some onions and lettuce and cabbage towards the end. So here are the onions. As you can see, they're coming up. It's kind of wet, so. And then there is our lettuce and our cabbage. Now right here is our trellis for our cucumbers. It's a 16-foot cattle panel, as you can see. We've got it staked in. We do not have our cucumbers yet, so we're going to have to get our cucumbers. Here we have 3 rows of corn, and I had said in the video that when we were planting the garden, we broke our own rule. Typically, you don't want to plant, if you plant 1 row, you got to plant a buddy for it. In this instance, we only planted 3, but I think we're going to be able to get away with it because we planted 4 here. So I'm trying to think. I believe these 2 rows are peaches and cream. The 2 farther rows are why can't I think? Peaches and cream and Silver Queen. The 2 far rows are Silver Queen. And then we have 3 more rows of Silver Queen. Can you guess what our favorite is? So we got the Silver Queen in. I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera around because if you watch my video of me planting our flowers, I'll show you them. They're starting to come up, guys. So they're starting to come up along with some clover and some weeds. But look, guys. I planted some zinnias here, and along with that, I just like scattered out some sunflowers. I don't see the sunflowers yet, but the zinnias are definitely starting. Look at that one. That one's white. Interesting. Or what's white? Anywho, can you see them? Like I said, there is grass and weeds growing in them, but I don't weed the flower part of the garden. Not typically. So all those little green spots are flowers. Along with planting some zinnias there was a patch right here that I just flung some wildflowers in, and it looks like they're coming up. We also have some type of volunteer squash here. I do not know what kind it is. I'm going to guess butternut squash. My mother-in-law threw some butternut squash out here in the garden over the winter. And there's some there. Now this right here is the worst enemy of my life. This is Morning Glory, and it's all over this place, and it takes over the garden. And look, I'll throw it down here, and it'll start vining right there. You can't kill Morning Glory off with a stick. So we just rip it up and roll on. All right, so that's this end of the garden. We're going to go ahead and pop on over to the raised beds. Our raised beds are berry beds. We have 2 berry beds and then one that we have garlic and onion in right now. This is blackberries, so I'll go ahead and show you them. They are doing beautiful, as you can tell. That's another one as well. It's not doing as well as this one, but this one is making up for it. And I believe there is one there as well. But we've got them kind of trellised up here, as you can see with the tobacco sticks. Up next is our strawberry patch. And it is loaded. They just keep coming. We keep picking them, and they keep coming. It's full. They're hanging over the edges. Just absolutely beautiful. This is the other raised bed. This is garlic. And in the garlic is some onion. And then there's some volunteer strawberries growing up there. We had planted some onion here as well from seed. And it just didn't do no good. There's some more of that blasted morning glory. I hate this stuff. Here is the straw bed that I've talked about before that my father-in-law has started. He's got onions here. I do not know what that is there. I don't want to tell you right off and it be wrong. He has potatoes in here. Don't look like they're doing very well. And he's got some potatoes up there that also don't look like they're doing very well. Unfortunately, I hate that for him. But there's his straw bed. I have our corn over here. I done told you a little bit of it. We've got peaches and cream on this end and Silver Queen here. So I'll go ahead and flip the camera over and I'll show you. There's a bug on it right as I'm speaking. Sorry, bug. He wasn't really on the corn, but I can't change it. Morning glory. It's doing beautifully. As you can see, the garden is wet over the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, I think. Somewhere in there. It has been raining. Thank God. Truly, it is an extreme blessing that the rain that has come has not been like a downpour. We have been getting light, easy drizzles. It'll rain for a little bit and then not rain for a couple hours and then rain for a little bit. And so it's actually been super nice on the garden. And as you can tell, it has helped it right along. It's not been, I guess, maybe a week, and all of our seeds are up, and everything is doing well. And it's like we haven't had to water, but just one time. After we planted the tomatoes, we did have to water, I think the next day, or maybe the day after that, but that was it, and it's rained ever since. And so the garden is really taken off. So these are our runner beans, our pole beans. On this side, we have the pink tip beans. These are a new bean to us. We're going to try them this year. The seed of them is like a pink mauve color. On this side is just your regular white half runners. And so they're coming up. They're a little more spaced out than the pink tip. For whatever reason, this row through here is doing wonderful. So we did pink tip, and then I think up to like right here, maybe, if I'm not mistaken, we finished the row off with some greasy grits. Greasy grits are my favorite, greasy grits or greasy back beans, whatever you want to call them. These are, we have 2 different types, and these are the white bean variety. And then on this side is the half runners again. So they're coming up a little bit more spaced out, but this row right here is definitely making up for it. As you can tell, they are thick, and so we are going to have to space them out some. We want them about 1.5 inches to 2 inches thick, but we have to plant we have to plant our seeds pretty thick to kind of evade some critters that we get that come through the garden. There's one growing right there. They come through the garden try to steal our stuff. Now we're back to the flowers. If you watch the video, back there is where I planted the other flowers. Up here, I planted a patch of flowers as well. And they're coming up. It's going to be so beautiful. We can get the morning glory out of the way here. You might be able to see. I planted just a butterfly, I think it was called a butterfly and bird mix packet. It's just wild flowers from the dollar store. And as you can see, they're coming up and doing well. All right, guys, so we've made it through this part of the garden, this half of the garden here. Now let's move on to the bush beans. We planted, what did we plant? Kentucky, was it Kentucky Wonder? Kentucky Wonder and Tenderettes, maybe? I'm done forgetting. We'll have to look back at the other video, but we'll go ahead and show you how well they're doing. They're doing great. Now, if you've been around for a while, you know that bush beans are not my favorite. I feel like they're easier to can, but although I don't feel like they have as good a taste. And I don't feel like they're as fun to grow. So I'm a pole bean girl all the way. If you ask me whether I'd have a bush bean or a pole bean, I'd tell you a pole bean every single time. I feel like they're prettier. I love the taste of them. I feel like they have a better taste. I'm a pole bean girl all the way. All the way. But we do bush beans as well, mostly because this garden here, if you're not aware, is a two-family garden. We grow this for my father-in-law and mother-in-law, and we also grow it for us. And my father-in-law and mother-in-law like bush beans. My mother-in-law especially likes bush beans, but we're more of a pole bean crew, so we do pole bean trellises as well. At our own personal garden, at our Eaton garden, we have 3 trellises of pole beans that we grow, but we grow 2 out here and 2 rows of bush beans. So we've made it to the front of the garden. Now I'm looking at this garden and it looks pretty full, but I can definitely see we're going to have to fill in some spots, and we did leave an entire row for some extra things. We were wanting to get some Cherokee, my mother-in-law was wanting to get some Cherokee purple tomatoes. They are not my favorite. They don't really grow very well. They don't really produce very well for us, but she likes them, and so we're going to do them. So we do have an entire row. I don't know if you'd be able to see it. Do you see where that line is there laying across that is an entire empty space there, and there will be things that fill in that spot, mostly tomatoes and a few different other things. Along with that, we are going to grow okra. We plan to grow some watermelon. We plan to grow some cantaloupe. We plan to grow some cucumbers, and I showed you the trellis for the cucumbers, and some zucchini and some summer squash. So we do still have a lot to get in the ground. First 4 rows in the front are tomatoes, and then the last row is peppers there. It's hard to see now because they're small, but we did 2 rows of what I call a Eaton tomato or a plate tomato or a sandwich tomato. You'll hear me call them all kinds of different things. But the first row here is some beef steaks and early girls, I believe. Or was it beef steaks and pineapple? The first row is beefsteak and pineapple. The second row is pineapple all the way up until, let me see, right here. And then it's early girls. Now our early girls are blooming. Let me see if I can do this without making an entire mess. The early girls are getting some blooms on them. And they finish out that row. The rest of the rows from here, let me see if I can, from there all the way down to there, and then from there all the way down to here are our Amish paste tomatoes. Look at that, guys. Ain't that a good sign? Last but not least is the peppers. We have an entire row of peppers. We did some jalapenos towards the end. We did some King Arthur peppers. Let's see if I can get a hold of a tag here. There's some King Arthur. And looking for another tag. That's some King Arthur. We did Cal Wonder. And I'm trying to think. Aristotle. And then we finished the row out with some jalapenos. All right, guys. So that's the garden tour of, what is it, May 2024. As you can tell, we are in-ground gardeners besides the couple raised beds that we have. We have a very Appalachian garden. The things that we grow are very standard Appalachian things that you're typically going to see about in every Appalachian gardener's garden. Appalachian's gardener's garden. We're very simple in the way that we grow things, very simple in the way that we plant, very simple in the way that we use the things that we grow. I want to encourage you all to not make this too complicated. I've seen a lot of videos where people make gardening just too complicated. I want to show you all this video to be an encouragement and a help to you. And you know, this is my favorite time. It brings me so much joy to garden. I love it. And if you make it too hard, it takes the joy out of it. But guys, I appreciate y'all watching. I appreciate y'all hanging out. Hopefully we can see you on the next one. And hopefully your gardens are growing beautifully. I hope you have a wonderful garden year, guys. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.